When the United States top diplomat visits 5 African countries this month, his audience will be listening closely to see if they're able to finally make sense of how U.S.-Africa policy has evolved under President Donald Trump. Rex Tillerson, the U.S. Secretary of State, will visit Chad, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya and Nigeria from March the 6th till the 13th. Tillerson will discuss, among other things, counterterrorism, trade and investment. Joining us now is journalist Rasheedah Thomas on the News Hour for more perspectives on this. Thank you very much for your patience, for holding on thus far, Rasheedah.
Oh, thank you very much. Hello from a very snowy, cold Washington, D.C.
All right, Rasheedah. Given the background of Trump administration's disposition towards Africa, how optimistic are you about Rex Tillerson's visit and the possible outcomes?
Well, I think that, my hope is that Secretary Tillerson will heal some of the wounds caused by our president's unfortunate comments this year. I know that it'll be on the forefront of minds of the citizens of the countries that he's visiting. I don't think that he will address it head on, but it will be the subtext of all of the meetings. I don't know if you're aware, but he announced yesterday that the United States will invest $533 million into Africa. And I think they're hoping that will go a long way to healing some of those wounds.
Another issue we'd like to understand is why now? Why this visit now? And how is this going to deepen the relationship between the U.S. and these African countries?
Well, Secretary Tillerson has made clear that this is just his first trip in Africa. And I think that from the list of countries that he's visiting, you can see that his priorities are security and trade and investment, as you said. This trip really comes out of a November 2017 ministerial delegation of 33 African ministers. This is a follow-up trip for that. And hopefully this will be one of many trips that Secretary Tillerson makes to the continent and as you said, deepens the connection between the United States and Africa.
Thank you for that information. $500 million will be invested in Africa. But what will that be compared with years of long policy engagement with Africa by succeeding presidents? Let's talk about PEPFAR, Obama's Power Africa. So what will that be compared with this sustained policy engagement?
Well, the $500 million is supposed to invest in electricity across the continent, as well as helping with HIV/AIDS epidemic. However, I think that the Tillerson trip this week is going to be focused on how we can create relationships between the United States and the continent of Africa to help trade and investment. I think that hopefully he'll send a clear message that democracy and fair and free elections are non-negotiable commitments for the U.S. and its partners. But also, let's not forget that the Secretary knows Africa from a business point of view. He was the head of ExxonMobil. He's dealt with several African countries extensively as head of Exxon. And part of this conversation this week, I think he will raise the issue of debt across the continent and the real cost of investments that countries like China are making on the continent.
All right, some of the issues that Rex Tillerson will be looking at is counterterrorism, and the U.S. is a huge supporter of Trans-Sahara Counterterrorism Partnership in Africa. So how is this trip going to deepen this counterterrorism efforts? What is he coming up that is different from what has been done in recent pasts?
Yes, security is definitely top of mind on this trip, given the recent terror attacks in Burkina Faso, as well as the meeting last month of the G5 Sahel countries. This will definitely be an issue that the Secretary and his counterparts will raise because they're directly affected, and the United States knows that these security crises pose an increasing threat to U.S. interests. So that's something that the Secretary will want to to really show, obviously, American citizens that he's considering.
All right, journalist Rasheedah Thomas, thank you for your time on the News Hour.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.